Welcome back to another episode of Meredyth with a Y. I am your host, Meredyth Willits, and again today I have my husband, Jim Willits, here on the podcast. So we'll be talking about all sorts of stuff, so stay with us. Hello, everyone. This is Meredyth with a Y, and I am your host, Meredyth Willits. Today we are going to go deep, changing lives, and I am giving you the keys to the castle. Welcome back. Thanks again for being here, Chum.
Thanks for being here,
Chumany
Meredyth.
Chumany. So I told you to make a list again as we talk throughout the week, and you also had a bunch of fans reach out to you with topics. So what you got?
They have homework.
Yep, you had homework.
Let's see here. One of our fans, also known as my sister, wants to know what it was like parenting at both age levels.
Impossible.
Cody and Skylar,
right?
Age level A, and then Brock and Emerson, infants, age level B. What was that like, and how did you balance that for all of us?
Well, there was a lot of shushing. There was a lot of shushing. I will say one of the things looking back that was like really a challenge and I had guilt over for a long time was Emerson had an allergy to milk. And so I was literally nursing her day in and day out. And as soon as I'd nurse her, she'd throw up until we figured out what it was. And then I stopped ingesting dairy. But, and so by the end of this, like the school day, while the kids were at school, the older two were at school, I was like, I didn't want to be touched anymore. Like I needed like Emerson's nursing or throwing up or nursing or throwing up. Like, and as soon as I'd nurse her, then she'd throw up and then I'd have to nurse her again. And then the kids came in and like just that not wanting to be like touched because you're touched all day inside of having an infant. So I would say that one of my biggest challenges was having enough space and emotional like bandwidth to also be their parent when I'm the parent of like a newborn. I think that was really challenging. I don't know. Like I kind of like it because of the fact like now it's almost like having two different families. Like Cody and Skylar are like their own energy and they're doing adult things and that's super interesting and exciting. And then Brock and Emerson are still doing the at-home kid thing. So I would say that I really am happy that I don't have four in the house needing to be driven to events. And also they can be kind of like, they go visit their sister in the city or like she comes here and hangs out with them. Like, I like that part of it.
Yeah. I don't know how some people do it. I commend them. They have kids that are like, they're like 4 or 5 kids and they're all within 2 or 3 years of each other.
Yeah.
And trying to, I mean, just running Brock and Emerson around is a lot. And I can imagine trying to do that with like 4.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never thought of it as, I never really thought about it as a different parenting style. I guess I kind of just parented all at the same time. I mean, even though Brock and Cody and Skylar had different needs from homework to sports to, you know, things. And
but we went to everything and like it was.
But Emerson and Brock were like, keep them fed and alive.
I think now the hard part is for me is them watching us raise Brock and Emerson and maybe like, oh, I didn't have a life like that. Or I didn't like, you know, like maybe comparison of like what it's like to have 2 parents still living together and a complete family under one roof versus their experience where they were like doing visitation and all that type of stuff. I think that like there's a bit of like grief around that I couldn't give that to my older 2 kids. So I'd have to say that that's been a bit of a challenge. But other than that.
Yeah, I don't think it's, you know, they're pretty good about it. I think they
get it.
They compartmentalize too. It's like, this was our life and this is what happened in our life and this was their life. And we're still all brothers and sisters and moms and dads, but they're just, that's the way it is for them. It's the way it is for them. I don't ever feel like they're sitting around going, oh, I wish I had that.
I think they are.
Okay.
Sometimes.
No, I don't feel that way.
Well, I know like some things are said like, oh, you didn't have me in travel ball.
Well, that's true.
And you're spending $1 billion on travel softball or baseball or football or whatever the thing is. And it was just different. Like when I had like the older kids in sports in Ohio, it was like $50 to play summer sports. Like that, it's just so incredibly different now than it was 23 years ago when they were in sports.
Not even 20. I mean, 23 years ago, yeah, but even like we've got a girl who helps Emerson with hitting for softball, and she might be 22, maybe 23. She's a teacher, and she's like, I didn't have travel sports then, like I guess that was 20 years ago, but like it's just the travel sports industry is insane. Huge. For those of you that are dealing
whoever wants to print money, go start a travel sports business or something to do with travel sports, because
I mean the tournaments, the hotels, the fees for the teams and all that stuff is just wild. And you know what, if you want your kids to play sports even in high school, not even outside of high school, in order to keep up.
Well, a lot of people we're talking to, they're like, we don't even look at high school sports anymore for college. Correct. It's the clubs. Like, what club is your kid playing volleyball? What club is your kid playing softball? Like, they're looking, these colleges are looking at club sports to more of a degree than high school sports, unless you're at like some, whatever XYZ high school that is, they're recruiting from. But because of the fact that kids are so spread out, and then they create these like condensed teams that are like super good, they're starting to look at club sports more than others. But as far as like, I mean, poor Cody and Skylar had to live through Meredyth's vegan era.
What about me?
You did just fine. You got to go to work and eat at work. Yeah. But so Emerson was allergic to milk. We spent like 6 months or so having her throw up with gas, acne all over her face as an infant, maybe 3 months. And I kept telling the doctor, I'm like, she's allergic to milk. And they're like, yeah, all moms think that. And then I finally brought a diaper filled with like slime and blood in it. And they're like, oh yeah, she's allergic to milk. Oh, I'm like, thanks. Yeah, I've suffered for 3 months of her throwing up on me. And so I had to stop. I had already, I think, stopped eating meat. And so then I had to stop eating dairy completely because I was nursing. And so anything I ate, she ate. And so we went through like a solid 3-year vegan, which Cody being a primarily eating meat. He did not like that era. To this day.
Cody is a meat eater, period.
That's all he eats, meat and onions.
So we're a vegan household. Yeah. It was, but my sisters still joke about the tofu turkey. They were like, we hosted Thanksgiving once, and they were both like, are we having tofu turkey? We fried a turkey in the thing. We didn't make everybody eat tofu. Do we have tofu?
I don't think so. I'm not a tofu person. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure I went through the tofu Seton era. Yeah. We've kind of been through every era.
We've been through a lot.
Through a lot of eras. Yeah. But now I think I'm kind of just whatever. Yeah. Whatever.
Well, what did I do? Everyone the mashed potatoes that year.
Oh my God.
I didn't ruin them.
No, I was legendary.
I just did what one of the people in the house, I don't know who, or my mom or my sisters.
I couldn't eat dairy.
I can't blame my mom for sure. She'll not be happy with that because she's the mashed potato queen. I made mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving, the tofu turkey.
10 pounds of mashed potatoes.
10 pounds of mashed. They were perfect.
His sister was driving down from her daughter being in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. They were driving 300 miles an hour to get to our house for Thanksgiving dinner.
How much 10 pounds of potatoes is? I know 10 pounds stuff, but like.
So I made 10 pounds of mashed potatoes, and I told him to go get milk for the mashed potatoes.
Keep in mind the vegan conversation we just had a second ago. Keep going.
And so he bought vanilla, what was it? Almond milk.
Vegan conversation.
Keep and going. We made, so like I thought, and it was yellow, by the way. And so I made the mashed potatoes, and they were vanilla mashed
were
potatoes.
fabulous.
We had to throw the whole thing in the garbage. It was like slime. It was like string cheese.
I blame Emerson, technically.
That is true.
You secondly.
She's
Emerson.
the worst. She's literally the worst.
Listen, I thought
so we had to go out and get new mashed potatoes and new potatoes.
I can remember vividly pouring that almond milk in there and going,
this cannot be good.
And then it was not good. The worst part about it was so much. Do we even end up having potatoes at that point?
I think we went out and got it, and I think we just made them maybe regular, and I just didn't eat them or whatever.
Anyway,
the fact that they were yellow and they so if you, I don't know why, but it created like the weirdest consistency, and they were yellow and they tasted like vanilla. Either way,
and all families make sure they remind me of that every Thanksgiving holiday when we're all together on occasion.
We have no kindness.
Mm-mm.
No kindness. Yeah. I like to host though. I mean, for the most part, as long as everyone leaves right after.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, I do. I think Thanksgiving is actually an easy thing to make. I mean, the turkey goes in. I actually love the new way because this past year we fried a turkey and smoked the turkey.
Oh yeah.
And so I had
first time smoked it or second time?
I think that was the first. Because I think the year James did it, my brother did it. And so then we were like, okay, we're going to do that. I don't remember. Maybe. Anyways, it was in the past 2 years. And so that leaves my whole kitchen open and my whole oven open to do mashed potatoes and stuffing and all the other stuff because the turkeys are not in the house at all until you're ready to serve them. So if anyone's out there and they're like, how do I cook Thanksgiving dinner for 27 people? Just make the turkey be made outside in some way, shape,
or form. By a smoker. Because their brother.
And I hate smoked food, but I will tell you.
It was probably the best one out of all the turkeys too.
No,
everyone said that. It was the first one. And it's not difficult. People are like, oh, I don't know if
I don't like smoked food, and it was excellent.
Yeah, it worked out. So mashed potatoes.
Yeah, and then everything after that is just like so easy because like whatever. Like, to me, I think that's Thanksgiving's actually an easy meal.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get too crazy. Like just, buy the pies.
Right.
Don't make the pies.
I think that's a generational thing. Like, I mean, we used to have the most massive Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners. My mom was like a machine, and I can't. We had so many people over at our house.
That was like almost 50 people.
And was it that many?
I said that, or
she said that.
You did, like in the basement and stuff, or maybe
it was a lot. Between kids, probably pretty close. Probably more like 30 or 40. But I just remember pies for days and prepping and cooking and.
I mean, to this day, I still think she needs to bring 4 pies.
It's in her,
like 4 pies.
It's just in her DNA.
Like crates of cookies.
Crates. Well, she does make good cookies, by the way.
She doesn't make good cookies.
She does.
She doesn't make good cookies.
I mean, and every single year, you think we would learn from our mistakes.
I don't have mistakes.
Not you.
Okay.
Because you're perfect. Okay. Anyway, that's another podcast. We would always get everything done, and the last thing we would do is put the like rolls.
Yeah.
In the oven or microwave, and they would burn them
every time.
We'd sit down, we're like, "What's that smell?" But I wasn't responsible for that stuff at that time. Just the almond potatoes.
Yeah.
Almond potatoes.
The almond vanilla almond mashed potatoes. Yeah. So what else is on your list of things we should talk about? We're clearly the world's greatest parents, and we parented our kids.
Let's see here.
See, he didn't make a proper list. I told him to make a proper list, and then he decided to text himself everything.
No, I didn't. I got it.
Oh, you made it? Okay.
Just talking. We one of the topics was older sisters. I mean,
which I don't have one, so this is on you.
But it's up. Emerson and Brock have an older sister.
Yeah, but I'm not going to talk about Emerson's point of view. That's wacko.
Well, I can't really. I'm not sure what the topic was.
What it's like to have older sisters? Well, I want to say, as your wife.
But you weren't. Well, you weren't older. You were an older sister. Why?
Yeah, I want to say that I so appreciate that you have older sisters because between your 2 older sisters and your mom, you were trained like a freaking champ to shop.
That's true.
And like everything about you is always like you understand women, you understand shopping, like you just have such a great understanding of like women in general. And so not because of you.
That's like the nicest you've been to me in months.
Months.
Would you keep doing that?
But I gotta watch because I laugh, and my mom said that I have a superficial laugh on here. I just want to let you know that my laugh is not superficial.
Since we're talking about it.
There
it is.
This is what happens when you like
no laughing.
No laughing. No
That'll
laughing.
make people watch.
Yeah, right. So yeah. But I appreciate like you can find a seat at a mall. You're like, take your time. You get on your phone. You find a chair. You're like, I'm still anxious and want to hurry up. So that is still as the oldest child, I tend to have a whip cracking on me at all times, as far as like the voice in my head that says, hurry up, he's waiting for you. You know, that's still in there. But then I try to like calm that inner voice and say, like, he's on his phone. Like,
which is hysterical because sometimes when I go outside of a store, when you go in a store,
yeah,
which we don't shop that much anyway.
We don't,
but when we do, I might sit down and she'll come out in like a couple minutes, and I'm like, that wasn't long enough. I was like, why weren't you in there much longer?
This is on film.
I was trained at a very young age. I don't know, it wasn't driven. I mean, you know, my mom was a good shopper, but back then you had to go shop. Like
right,
we do a lot of stuff online, you know. But I would find a chair in some of those stores. We had Southern Hills Mall, which is still there, but
the half price store.
The half price store.
The half price store.
I don't know if we're supposed to talk.
Why?
I don't know.
Anyway,
everyone.
You can shop at Gold Circle in Hills.
I don't know what that is either. But anyway, we used to go shopping, and I don't remember mom going, sit down. I would just go find a seat and stay out of the way. And they would disappear into the store for like days.
My brother.
And I didn't have a phone or anything. And then I just would sit there and think.
Yeah, what did you do?
I remember like in like JCPenney's or Sears, maybe at the time, they had the displays with like the mannequins on it. And sometimes I would sit on the corner and strike a pose and freeze, and people would walk by and think I was and then I would move, and then they would laugh and be like, we thought you were a mannequin.
So you were the original statue person from like downtown.
I wasn't that good, but that people thought I was, you know, like the little kid. But most of the time I just found a chair somewhere in the vicinity that they were at shopping and just wait.
My brother hid inside of one of those
I did that too.
Circles, and my mom like freaked out. Like she could not find him at all.
I would freak out too.
Yeah, because that was like Adam Walsh time. Like that was like.
Well, they also would like drop me in the. I mean, Kmart was huge in our town, so that we would go to Kmart, and I would just go to the toy aisle and just stand
we were
there.
never allowed to do that. Adam Walsh.
Yeah.
They got stolen. I think it was at Sears, but like
you
we were in
in
trouble.
Big town, big city, Cleveland. We were.
I lived in a suburb with like I don't even know how many people. Like nobody. Like it was a small town.
But anyway, I figured out how to shop. My mom was a machine shopper, and my dad would crack me up. And my mom probably wanted to kill him every time, but like, mom would come home with all this stuff and be like, "Guess how much this cost?"
And he uses this against me. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I would go. If it was over $3, it was too much.
And now he does that to me. I hate
That's a good line.
It's so annoying.
That's a good line. And my mom would get the best deals ever, just like crazy, like who knows what, and it'd be like 90% off. And my dad was like, "It's not under $3. It was too much. It was too much."
My dad always says, like, "Did you save $3 or did you spend $17?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Shut up!
Yeah.
Like, stop it!" Or if I ask you to guess how much I got something for, and you're like $3, and I'm like instantly furious because I got such a great deal, and you're like totally guessing way too low just to infuriate me. But I think that nothing actually tops. I don't even know what topic we were at. Older sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, but I'm going to. Is the one time that your whole family went shopping and just didn't take you?
Oh, I don't know for a lot of time what I did, but we'll do it anyway.
It happened a long time ago. Like statute of limitations.
So Meredith always says to me that I was raised by wolves
And construction workers.
Or construction workers. And the reason is because my mom would probably tell this story a lot better than I can, but my two sisters went to town and were
town was at least like what, 30 minutes away in Iowa?
20. And they went to town, and my grandma Swan. Oh, my phone's ringing. Okay, it's not my mom. Stop talking about this. And are we allowed to talk about this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, they went to town and shop and left me at home with my dad. And it was during the time, which is another conversation, we lost our house by a tornado. Our house was destroyed by a tornado completely, which maybe that's another podcast because that's a long conversation. I should put that in my notes.
Put it in your notes.
So we lost our house by a tornado, and we were moved back into the same space and the same footprint. But the construction workers were taking forever. So we just moved in before it was finished to kind of help expedite the process. Anyway, they went to town shopping, and I'm not sure of the exact sequence of events because I was. No, wait.
You were in a crib.
No, that's not the right time. It was the original build. It was that was a different time.
Yeah, because
sorry,
you would have been.
I apologize. It's not the tornado situation. I think it was when we first moved in. Anyway, I was in a crib, and they all went to town, and then they met at my grandma Swanner's house, and Dad. They were there, Mom and my two sisters, and Dad rolled up and got out of the car, and Mom stepped out on the curb and said, "Where's Jimmy?" And Dad was like, "I don't know." Dad, leaving the dad, he's like, "I don't know." Yeah, he's like, real funny, and still walking towards the house to, just go in and say hi to Grandma. And she's like, "No, really, we're assuming." He's like, "Yeah, okay." And just kind of kept walking past her. And then it was like, oh, and then it's like, "Where's Jimmy?" He's like, "I thought he was with you." And turns out Dad left me at the house in my crib with the construction workers that were building the house, and Mom, Dad, and my two sisters went 20 minutes away and left the kid that was in the crib. And
in the crib,
I don't. Mass hysteria broke out at that point, and I'm not sure who got in the car and drove. Probably
I would love to know that.
3,000 miles an hour, and they have a picture of me standing in the crib, but I was still there. So pretty funny. Sorry, I kind of botched that story up, but
that's all right. You're allowed to botch.
So Meredyth always says when
Raised by wolves.
when I do something that's not. I'm just kidding. She said you were raised by construction workers, which is partly true because I was left with a construction worker, which I'm surprised none of those guys. But there was no cell phones or anything, so like, who are you gonna call?
There's a hard phone, a hard line in the house.
Yeah, they didn't have a person to use it. They probably were like, the owners aren't here.
We're watching the kid. We're in charge of the
They probably figured Dad was gonna be back in a minute. I don't know. They didn't know they were all going to the mall and leaving me.
Which brings up a great topic, actually, even though it has nothing to do with both of us, is have we been talking that long? Oh no, we started at 10:30. Is this new thing? So recently in the news, there was a husband and wife. I think they're vloggers. Like, I think they have a YouTube channel. Yeah. I know they're in social media. But they left their two younger kids inside of, I think they're on a cruise ship, and they left both of their kids to sleep in a cruise ship, and now they're being destroyed for leaving their kids in the cruise ship, even though they were sleeping, because I guess the kids, although very, very young, didn't like the cruise ship's childcare. And I mean, it was just recent. I feel like it was recently that one girl was stolen out of the condo. I think they were in Portugal or something. That little girl was stolen while their parents were out at a dinner a couple of years ago. Uh-huh. What are your thoughts on leaving kids in cruise ships to sleep by themselves? You're being recorded.
I'm fine. Look at me. I grew up fine. I turned out okay.
But think how different the world is. It's. I just look at it
no, I don't
know
how old they were, but in my mind,
they're 18 months and 3 years old or something.
Oh, you can't do that. That's. I was just gonna say. I mean,
he's totally thinking about it.
I'm thinking about the
age. I survived.
I'm thinking about the age, like, is it 13, 14? You can start kind of leaving kids, not 18 months.
Yeah,
That's
18 months.
Yeah, they should.
They're like, they were asleep. We're going to dinner.
No, that should never happen. The 3 years old, the 3-year-old taking care of the 18-month-old.
Yes.
That's okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb.
Okay.
Bad parenting, right there. Might be bad.
It might be bad parenting.
Now,
I would just be afraid. Like it takes a minute. Like you've never been on a cruise, but it takes a minute to get to wherever you're going on a cruise ship. They're literally 3 football fields long.
Yeah.
And like count like 15, like what is it called?
Yeah, but a 3-year-old man, they can get into anything. They can pop that door and who knows what.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Did you see in Ohio? I think it was yesterday that 8-year-old drove herself to Target with $400 cash. She parked. She did hit 8 years old. This is real, like in Bedford.
I love that.
Got in the car, took $400 cash from the house, parked. She only hit like one mailbox as far as the story goes.
Right.
Parked at Target, went inside, did some shopping, bought a Frappuccino at the Starbucks in Target until the police showed up because she was.
If we gave her some keys, that would have been her. She would have been doing.
She would have driven them. Yeah. But I guess like the police, the family reported like our kid's missing and our car's missing, never thinking it was the kid that took the car.
So,
but they never finished her Frappuccino before they left, and they made Target refund all the money because. You just allow.
What did she buy at Target?
I don't know what she bought. I don't have.
What's the self-checkout?
I just want to know what kind of kids do they have these days that 8-year-olds can, do the car, get themselves. Emerson can't even. We go anywhere. She's like GPS me, and she's 15.
Yeah.
8-year-old got themselves and drove themselves to Target. Parked the car. I guess they have it on video that from like video cameras and how they do from like gas stations and stuff. And it's like, yeah, the driver was pretty small. It's like
could have been a little lady.
Yeah. But how great is that? She got herself there with an agenda to purchase. So and then took time to have a snack.
So I want to get back to the cameras in a second, but
what cameras?
You said the cameras everywhere. We'll talk about that in a second. But real quick, because I'm not going to get into detail, we can talk about it later. But growing up, and Iowa folks, don't put my feet to the fire here because I'm not going to get it right because I don't have it. But I think I started driving at 12 or 13.
This is just.
And we had.
If you live anywhere but Iowa, this conversation is just more than I can handle.
I don't remember. I'll have to look back. So maybe some people can correct me, but it's still there. But it was like, it went moped.
Which you had a moped.
At 12 or 13. Because I'll put them 13. So 13 would have been freshman year, maybe? Ish.
Ish.
Because I remember riding a moped down gravel roads, which the moped goes, maybe 28 miles per hour. It's basically an e-bike.
Right.
What is downhill, and I mean the gravel roads I lived on, the farmer, everybody, but they used to drive 3,000 miles an hour and probably still do. And I'm on a moped on a rocky gravel road with the farmer's going 300 miles an hour past you.
Did you wear a helmet?
No, I didn't wear a helmet.
Wolves.
I wore a helmet on my 3-wheeler, which was another conversation.
3-wheeler. They're literally banned now. You can't even
But I think so. Let's just pretend it was 13 because 12 seems really young to be driving around. But 8's very, very young. But legally, we were driving around like at 13, and I think 14.
But it was called like a farmer's permit.
14 or again, I'm not remember exact. 14 or 15 was a farmer's permit. Or at least that's what we called it. I don't know if that's what it was the official
name. Legal name.
And that was basically if you were, lived on a farm, you could drive around. And my friend,
how do you get
one of my good friends, Scott and I we took a test. I think Scott and I think both had, and he lived close to me. Both had farmers permits, and we used to go fishing everywhere on those things. I mean, there were no cops anywhere, and we never got pulled over.
And then you had a school permit.
Then it was school permit, and that was only supposed to be to like school and school and events and back. Farmer's permit was like between fields and stuff like that.
If anyone lives in Iowa, can you let us know if this is still going on there?
Culture. I mean, it's just what, but Scott and I use it to go fishing.
So you could just take a full-on car at age 14 with a permit.
Yeah. I had a
I can't.
Datsun pickup that my neighbors had that was buried in the dirt, and my dad we went over and dug it out of the dirt, aired the tires up, and I drove that around. And a lot of people know this because it used to burn a quart of oil on the way to school, and a plume of smoke behind it. And
floor, right?
We had no floor where the front tire was. Dad would buy carpet samples and put the it was fine. It was normal.
And if you didn't do that, you would be covered in gravel.
Right. If you had the carpet samples would slide over, and then you could feel the dirt start hitting you in the face and stuff from the tire. And I looked down, I could see the ground, and I had to slide the carpet sample over to make sure the mud wasn't getting on me on the way to school, because I wanted to look good for everybody at school.
You would have been better off putting like a metal plate instead of a carpet sample.
Yeah, but carpet samples were free. That was the thing. Dad would go into the carpet place.
Cookie tin or cookie. Did you know?
Growing up Iowa, there's a lot of conversations growing up Iowa.
My favorite conversation is the pig conversation, which we will get into.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Because I'm obsessed with the pig conversation.
Yeah.
To this day, I think that was a Thanksgiving or Christmas conversation where I learned all of that. Which to this day is still one of my favorite Iowa childhood stories.
Are we going into it?
No.
Okay.
Jim has the best stories. Like he could literally hold an entire, as long as you want to hear about like, I don't know, being left alone at home and like huge family dinners and
growing up Iowa, man. Like
growing up Iowa.
Probably for a lot of Iowa
we should have that just be the name of the podcast. Growing up
Iowa.
The
best part about it is there's probably stuff that friends from Iowa that are watching, they're probably like, do you remember when like we used to go to the rope pond? That's the whole other conversation.
The rope pond?
Yeah.
I don't know about a rope pond.
The rope pond was this random giant pond out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And somehow it got to be established as like the party pond or whatever. And everyone would go out there.
We had a quarry, so
and everyone would go out there and hang out and it would dry out onto this field. And then there was a big huge tree at the bottom base of this like ledge. And you would swing out off the ledge into the pond, and it was called the rope pond. And it was much fun to have there many times. Big Friday night, Saturday nights.
I never went to the quarry. I just heard about people jumping.
And I think my friend Jerry, I think the rope broke one time, and I think Jerry went climbed this big ass tree. Now I remember it being big. I'll probably go back to it. It's not that big. It's probably not in there anymore. And he climbed out on this freaking limb and tied the rope back up, if I recall correctly. It's a good possibility. Jerry's that kind of guy.
He's a helper. He's a helper.
Yeah,
he is a helper. He'd be like, I'll handle it. I'll do it.
Yeah. So that's good. Cameras.
Camera.
Remember we talked about cameras? I was talking about how you can't get away with any type of crime.
Yeah, cameras everywhere.
You can't,
What kind of crime are you trying to get away with, Jim?
You were talking about burying bodies.
I was?
Yeah. About we were like some reason we got into we were to be talking about a follow-up on one of the Netflix shows or something, and how it was Peterson.
Oh,
and I was asking like, how did they find the body and all that stuff?
Were we talking about it on here or just the two of us?
No, just two of us driving.
Oh. So it wasn't on here.
No.
Okay.
And we were saying, and you were saying, why wouldn't they just? We were driving by a green space, and it was like, why didn't you just bury the body in that green space? And I said, you can't get away with anything anymore because there's cameras everywhere. And she's like, what are you trying to get away with? And I know, just better.
Yeah, you're better off doing it in plain sight. Do everything in plain sight. Like
really, I mean, as a criminal, it's tough to.
That's our job. I belong in real time.
It's gonna make me gag.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Well, yeah, maybe it's tough to get away with.
I'm glad
All
you're
these
thinking about
criminals are surprised that they're getting caught, but there's literally so many ring cameras and traffic
Oh my
cameras,
gosh, yeah.
and they're like, they're gonna get you.
The good thing
Don't break
is
the
that
law.
the
They don't
good thing is that everyone's going to be like, they were so cute on that podcast, and she disappeared. But in that one podcast, he was talking about not being able to get away with burying your body. So this is the dateline. This is the dateline.
Yeah.
So now you can't buy duct tape, any sort of like plastic, shovels. Like you're done. You cannot, because this is here.
I'm gonna have to order it from TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Tracking it.
No, not at all. With our one
guy ordered
billionth
duct
of
tape and a shovel on
Yeah.
TikTok shop.
our one billionth of a Bitcoin that we own. You have to buy it with
Oh yeah.
that.
That's cool.
But so we mentioned, I guess so Chris sent that to us. So we mentioned Chris and your mom in the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and you mentioned your buddy Jerry. So there's the friends.
And Scott. But
Yeah.
Scott I've been in touch with for a long time.
Yeah, I doubt he's watching.
I doubt it too. But
we've had a stressful 24 hours.
We had a lot going on.
And we can't talk about it right now because there's that.
Everyone's...
Oh my gosh, your mom is now Leola's in the house messaging on Facebook.
Building character. Iowa's God's country. She's chatting. We told it, I don't know if you're just tuning in, Mom, but
we're mentioning quite a bit.
We talked about you a lot.
Yeah.
And
we still want to be invited.
You might have to rewind it and
Yeah.
We talked about you leaving me at home with some construction workers, or actually Dad did. So
yeah,
we blamed him, not you.
But yeah, we've had a rough 24 hours. We can't really talk about it right now.
Everyone's fine, but we have had a stressful 24 hours.
Yes.
I just wanted to go fish.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted
not really happen. You did fish a little bit.
I know, but it was literally...
It was a mess. Yeah. We've had a rough 24 hours. We can't talk about it.
We will talk about it.
We will try to talk about it hopefully next week. Next week we will be on vacation.
We are.
And our goal is to record there.
Yeah.
Because why not? But yeah, hopefully by next Monday this is all working itself out. But you were not necessarily in doing a podcast 100%. I said it's a good distraction from our morning to take a mental break.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
It's Meredyth has been in this situation way deeper than I have been in the last 24 hours. But hopefully we're going to get to the end of it and everything will be fine. So we'll start to be so vague about it.
But everyone's healthy.
Everyone's in our
family.
Small biggish thing
we're dealing with.
And Mom says Iowa is God's country, and those things we did builds character.
Oh gosh.
And
she's commenting like, did you talk about me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this again with me.
I'm glad we did it, even though we had a lot going on.
But it's a nice break from stress.
It's good.
Just a distraction.
I like
Sometimes it's good. And I needed to try out my new camera. I don't know how we sound. I'll have to go back and listen to it because I have a new boom.
Are we talking about why you have a new camera? Or not yet?
No, not yet. And new lighting. So I think the lighting on me is super bright. For some reason, you're not bright, even though it's the same lighting.
Tan from yesterday because I was trying to catch
you're
a
not
fish
as
in the sun.
Glowy as I'm like whatever. So, anyways, all right. Thank you guys so much for listening and
Yeti's
being
not
here.
A sponsor, but
Yeti's not a sponsor, but if they want to be, we're here for
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys next week.
Thanks for listening. If you would like to connect on a more personal level, head over to meredythwillits.com or on Instagram at Meredyth with a Y for behind-the-scene footage and outtakes. Please subscribe and come back each week for more Meredyth with a Y. Thanks again for listening.